What's up, guys? It is Coach Callie B, and yes, this is the Callie B podcast. And on this particular episode, this is part 2 of my interview with guest speaker and coach Duke Baxter. He is also the owner and the creator of Zone Sports Academy up in Rucker, New Jersey area. So if you don't know, now you know. He is literally changing the game on social media by offering so much free content to coaches, parents, and athletes, so much so that I use his drills too. I love the stuff he is dropping. In this particular episode, we're going to talk about failure and how you have to deal with it as an athlete because it's a part of life. We also talk about, as an athlete and a coach, how we need to be prepared for the day, not just prepared for practice, but literally from the time we wake up in the morning. How are you preparing to get through your day? Because when that curveball comes, when it's going to come, how are you going to deal with it? He drops so much knowledge on travel ball support, from tryouts, how to make cuts, travel ball breakups, how to handle it, and the key word throughout the entire conversation about travel ball was communication. You are going to want to lean into this. He leaves the end of this conversation in support of the young instructor, like the next generation, as well as the young coaches. How we as coaches in our generation can give back to the younger coaches coming up. So grab your journal, be ready to make your notes, and let's get into part 2 interview with guest speaker Duke Baxter.
Splits. And now you have a kid that doesn't play anymore because it was set up for him so perfectly that he doesn't know how to handle any
adversity
kind of failure at all. Yeah. So that's
which is great. No, that's taking me. I mean, this is such an organic conversation because I'm sitting here like, okay, next thing we're going to is failure. Like, I'm a fan of failure. Failure is feedback. I look at video. Like, anytime I have my girls do homework and they video me their homework, yes, there's accountability, but it's also feedback so they can continue to grow forward. You know, I feel like it's this little silent way of teaching them how to deal a little bit more, you know? So how do you deal with failure? You can either direct it towards your clients or your teams or whatever, maybe personal story of failure and how like you learned like, okay, I had to do this in order to know I was capable of doing this, or an athlete had to do this in order to know they were capable of doing this.
Oh, I think every athlete goes through failure, whether it's getting cut, whether it's your last game and you realize you're not good enough to play anymore, whether it's going out for your middle school team and you don't make it, or you have the bases loaded and you strike out with the bases loaded and you lose a game. Like, all of those things are all failures, or, you know, things that are negative that we have to flip upside down, you know, and that's what I'm always telling the kids, like, you know, we have to be able to deal with the things maybe that don't go our way, but it's always a lesson to be learned of, okay, I was put in this situation for a certain reason. I struck out with the bases loaded. Yes, of course you should be upset and you should feel sad for a minute, but then you're like, okay, what did I learn from that situation of striking out? Well, I was nervous. Okay, well, how do we fix that then? Well, next time I get up, I have to make sure I'm staring at the barrel. I'm taking my deep breaths. So it's how do you know, what are you learning from every failure that you have? And that's, you know, what everybody's doing. And one of the things that I'm realizing at this experience, wisdom age that I am now is to be able
Just a minute, we're old.
Is to be able to enjoy the wins instead. I've worked so hard and grinded so hard in everything that I never appreciated, like getting something, or, you know, I want to raise $30,000 for my golf outing and I raised 30 and I'm like, oh, why didn't I raise 35? Like, or you know what I mean? Like, and you're just constantly like going for the next thing and you're never happy saying, wait a second, you wanted 30 and you raised 35. You can't be upset that you raised 5 over because you should have raised 40, you know? And so when you don't celebrate the wins, it's like you're only focusing on the failures of the things, like, dang, I didn't get there. Dang, I didn't get there. And after a while, you're going to burn yourself out because there's no happiness in that. So now I'm finding more times to be like, hey, I'm not going to be as goal oriented. Am I goal oriented? Did I do the best golf outing I could? Yes, that's a win. I'm not putting a dollar figure on it. I'm hoping for this, but you know what? Did I do a great job? Yes. If a kid gets up and smokes a line drive and it gets caught, did you do your job? Well, you hit the ball in the barrel. Yes, you did. Maybe you got out, but Okay, good. Instead, give yourself a high five that you hit it on the barrel, not, oh, my head drags because I got out. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
trying to help them understand that. What did you learn from that mistake? That's going to get you better. What did you learn from, this failure what did you learn from that? Every win, every loss. Like it's so apparent. And so many coaches are just based on just wins, and everything's right in their faces now with social media. Back in the day, I didn't even know how to figure out a batting average. I knew if our team won, I was feeling like amazing, even if I
I
went
love that.
2 for 3 with 3 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays it's like, hey Mikey, how'd you guys do today? Where I would have said, awesome, we won. They go, yeah, I got 2 hits today. I was 2 for 3. Oh, did you guys win? No, we lost. Oh, oh, okay.
It's a
So
team sport,
you
right?
so you had a good day, but I feel like that's what it is now with Game Changer and all these apps. You know what your average is before you even start the game. After the first at bat, you know what your average is. So does everybody else. How come Johnny's batting second? He's batting
Ugh.
260, and my son's batting 340 on Game Changer. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, that's not, so those are whole other conversations that we can get into at another time. But
Yeah.
that's where it stems from. It's not about the process and about things. It's almost just like so much based on stats and what are you doing for me this second? And
Yes.
so I feel like the fear.
Well,
Go ahead.
and boundaries, like the whole game changer, like I like it for this. And like you said, when people get stuck on it for stats, it's just that should just be a boundary. Like that's actually one of the things I do with my girls is I will point out, like I'll go through game changer. I'm like, this matters, this matters, this matters. All this other crap doesn't matter. As your pitching coach, these are the only three things that I look at. I don't care if you got the dove, if you got the L. I want to see how many pitches you threw and were they pitches of value? Did you have intention behind them? That's where I like to use game changer. I totally agree with you. It just gets out of control. Like, and many of times, how to go today? Oh, well, I did this. How did your team do?
Yeah.
you know? So, but okay. So I like the failure feedback. It teaches you to push through, get through to the other side because I said this on Ashley Burkhart's podcast, how softball is like a blueprint for life. Like I'm like Bible softball, like blueprint. And I feel like baseball's the same way. Watching my husband through his journey as a collegiate baseball player and now head coach of a 6A program and does travel ball, like watching how he does his life because of a lot of things he took away from baseball.
Right.
Do you kind of feel like you took a lot of what you learned on the field and you apply it, even though you're coaching, like that's what you do,
So
but
much.
like in your life with your family, like when Duke goes home, do you still have that kind of structure like you learned on the field?
Yeah, the part that I think is the most important or one of the most important parts is, the preparation, right? Like when you prepare for a game, you go to the gym, you make sure you eat well, you make sure you're practicing, you make sure that you get there early for batting practice, you make sure you're taking your ground balls and you're doing your, daily routine. So now when the game came, it's fun. The
Mm-hmm.
preparation's done. It's when I go into a class or into a camp. I mean, I have wizard wall stuff all over here where it's like, here's the plan, here's the drills, here's everything down to a minute of what's going on. So when we go out there, it's so much easier. If someone throws me a curveball or a wrinkle, oh, so and so sick, he's not going to be, oh, here's my adjustment. Simple. But if you go from nothing to,
Mm.
oh no, now you get thrown a curveball, it's like, you don't know what to do with yourself. So I feel like preparation and being prepared, and that's what gives us confidence. That's what allows us to be able to make the next move. When something does go wrong, we still look like we're in charge because maybe we're only in charge of 90% of it now, but that's
Mm-hmm.
90% more than 0%, and then everything feel like it's falling apart on us. So I think that I was a big defensive guy. Like I was always just big on like robbing hits and getting dirty and just laying out for balls and just doing everything I could. And I was never fast when I played, but everyone always thought I was because I was everywhere. Like my anticipation of the game, like from watching it, I was like, okay, if this happens and I need to be over here, I need to be. So now all of a sudden it happens and I'm like, I'm already going that way. They're like, how did you know I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I knew or my intuition but then you're like, oh, watch out, Baxter's fast. Here we can. And I'm like, and I would just giggle, like, I got him all fooled. I'm not fast. I just, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's something I do take into life. And that is like the work ethic and the hard work and never taking no for an answer. And if they say no, I got to figure out how that means yes in some other way, or
Ooh, I like that.
I can't figure this out, but well, I have to, everything's figure outable, right? Like if you put enough time and effort and thought into something, like maybe I don't do it like this, but I can do it like this instead. Let's see if that works. And bringing other people in with me, like a team, right? Like it's not all about you when you're on your team. And you might not like everybody on your team, but we still have to win together. It's like a business. You might not like everybody in your, but you still have to win together.
Mm-hmm.
If you do love everybody, it's even more, it's better.
Yeah.
But there's going to be people that but you still have to be able to like, okay, this is about us. And we need all of us to, to do what we need to do for the sake of the team. So
yeah,
I feel like, that's what I took away from the game itself is the resiliency and the effort and the grit and the diving and the getting dirty. And I don't think I'm going to catch him. I'm going to dive anyway and let's see what happens. Then it falls into your glove and you're like, and you get up and you throw it and you're just like, like that sense of just like, I don't think I can do it, but I'm just going to try. And then you catch it, you throw it, and you're just like, dude, those are the best feelings ever. And I feel like it's the same thing in life. You just got to figure out a lot of things that you don't think you can figure out. And just try your best.
No, I love that. That's great advice. I really hope somebody leans into that, especially if they're on the fence of like not wanting to play anymore. Like, especially if they've been playing for several years, like more than 2 years. Like there's a lot that has went into that. So much so that I hope the fact that they played for so long helps them like make the decision, what are they going to move to next or lean into next kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. All right, we're going to talk about travel ball. Travel ball is huge down here where I'm at. Baseball and softball, like it's thick. Where exactly are you located?
New Jersey, Bridgewater.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like I didn't want to judge.
Central New Jersey, right next to Rutgers. So there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah. Well, I heard the accent, but like when I was in high school, I had moved to New Mexico from Kansas, and everybody thought I was from Texas because they said nobody in Kansas has accents. I was like, yeah, they do. So I want to talk about travel ball and like start out kind of like with tryouts and how like you as Coach Duke, when you do have to make those cuts, like how you do it. Because I feel like for coaches in these bigger organizations, they're being told, okay, you have to do it by this time. It has to go out. Like a lot of them do it through text nowadays.
Yeah.
And I feel like there should still like that's part of coaching. That's why like if you're not strong enough emotionally and mentally, it's going to eat you alive. And you should be calling these kids and the parents and letting them know. How do you handle that as a coach? Like when you go to make cuts, what is your go-to type of communication?
That's a good question. And I think that over the last 12 years of actually having teams, because we didn't have teams in the beginning, but having teams now, understanding the importance of over communicating the entire process. So when they come to the first tryout, it is, hey, we want to let you know we're going to do all the measurables. We're going to take all the information down and we're going to have an eval for every single player. So if you don't make our team, we are more than happy to sit down with you in the office and go over with you and your son what they need to work on. So that's number one. Number two is when you get invited back to the second day, we want you to know that you have a window of 48 hours to make a decision of whether you play or not. Because if we're going to have two teams, we will not call anybody on the second team until all 12 of our first team is picked and said, and they say yes, and the deposits are made, because then we have to move on to the second team. If I say, oh, Johnny, you have 3 weeks to just let us know. Well, what happens to the other kids that are waiting to see what happens? So that's why we have to have a deadline, because it's only fair to the other kids like when they know or what's going on. Because if we have 12 kids and 6 of them are like, no, we're going to go play in our town instead, you're like, okay, that next tier is who you bring up, or fill in other ways. So I think that that's very important. And when the tryouts are over, we give ourselves only a 24-hour window to communicate with every single person of what's going on. So they're not left out to dry, or, because they have to go try out somewhere else if they didn't make it. But, I love bringing them in and be like, let's go over your eval. Listen, great tryout. Unfortunately, we only took 12. We had 63 kids try out. Not everybody, and you're a really good catcher, but we had 3 catchers where you only take 2. Like it doesn't, it's not going to help you to bring a 3rd catcher on the team because you're not going to play. And that's not fair. So it's not just about our organization. It's what's best for that kid. And what's best for that kid is not just to make the team just to make it. It's to make the team stronger. So we are very specific with that. We do send out an email, but the email will say, we will call you, or please call and set up a meeting, and we'll be more than happy to sit down and go over it. So it's not just, oops, sorry you didn't make it, see you later. No, here's why. Here are your measurables. Here's how you mapped up with everybody else. Here's how you did. Here's what you need to work on. So it's but it's hard, especially, if I have some of my sons, like I said, I'm in the town to where I know a lot of the kids because I have 4 kids. So we're cutting my son's friends. We're cutting my wife's girlfriend's sons. We're like, they're talking about being hard. Like that is not just being able to just be like, oh, you didn't make it, sorry. Well, now you have to go see that person tomorrow, maybe, because you're going out to dinner.
Right.
So I think it's by having the evals and that just helps give you ammo to when you're talking. It just helps the conversation. Well, he was on the bottom percentile in running and throwing speed. And well, after you look at all those things, it just makes it easier than just being like, he just didn't make it. How come? He just didn't make it. Well, that's not okay. So, and some organizations are just like, he just didn't make it. Boom, that's it. I'm moving on to the next guy. Like, okay, that's just not us. But
no, I like that you do that, because down here it's just the softball travel world is very cutthroat. Baseball, same, but I think I'm like you in the sense of, I know a lot of girls like here that my daughter plays with, and a lot of people do assume because, my kid knows your kid, that's going to be an end. And it's like, ultimately it's not. Like I'm just an assistant on the team that I was with. And it was just like, it's ultimately up to the head coach, and I just feel like that needs to be offered, because there are organizations that are new, and sometimes I feel like those coaches that do start those organizations, they want to be the best coach they can be, but they haven't reached that level of humility to know that they can reach out to Duke. Like Duke's all the way in New York, but hey, people in AZ, you can reach out to Duke. He'll be more than happy to guide you through this process, which brings me to the next one. Like, travel ball team changes, like breakups, like legit reasons why, worst case scenario, because anytime somebody leaves a team, first thought is, where are you going? Who picked you? Who poached you? Because poaching is a very live and well thing down here. There are parents as bold to confront another parent while they're watching their kid play. It's called Cactus Yards now, but it used to be Big League Dreams. And while they're watching their kids play against each other, that parent will come over and say, hey, your daughter's too good for that team, right? And it's just like, there's no like filter. So like, what in your book would you consider to be like a bad breakup, and how would you consider one to be a good breakup? Like, knowing that it's not all about you as a coach or the team.
I don't think there are any good breakups that are. I don't think any breakup is easy, right? I think that any breakup is challenging in its own way, and again, I keep talking about communication, because I feel like it's the only way to hopefully break up in a way to where they understand why. They might not like it, you might not like it, but it's a thing. And hey, my doors are always open. If you want to come back to zoned, my door is always open. I want your son to come in here, and he's still going to get a big hug, and he's still gonna, I'm going to give him a high five. Like, hey, everyone has choices, and like we were saying before, Sometimes it's money. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes it's travel. Sometimes it's distance. Sometimes there's family things going on. Like, you don't know why that kid's not coming back, or you don't know what the real situation is. So I think that it's very important to know that, though, to be like, hey, is there anything that we could have done differently or better to help your son out? No, there really wasn't. It's just on us, and we gotta, okay, like, just understanding one another over it, right? And I think the whole poaching thing, I feel like sometimes as a business owner and as an athlete, and it's like competition and the word competition, how people look at competition, right? Like, are you the kind of person that would rather go play cornhole, as an example, and be better than everybody else and play C level competition if you're an A and just crush everybody and win? Or are you the kind of person that's maybe a B minus and you want to go play against all the A pluses just because they get your juices flowing because you're like, I got to be at the top of my game. And that's what makes me, that's really what drives me, right? Like, what do you want when it comes to competition? And I think when someone's trying to poach one of our guys, I don't like it, but it's like, look in the mirror, Duke, and say, is there something that I could have done better? Why would they want to leave to go there? Am I not doing something that I could be doing? Not, oh my gosh, they're leaving just because. No, how about, maybe I need to dig in this and figure out what we maybe could have done better. I think you're not only getting the player to fall in love with Zone Sports Academy. I want the parent to be so in love with the Zone Redhawks that they want the kid to play here more than the kid wants to play here. How about that? How about I want the mom and dad to love the organization and the culture and what we're teaching here so much that they don't want the kid to even leave here. If you think of it that way, that's a whole nother ball game, right? Like, that's a whole nother ball game. Now, when Johnny goes, hey, mom, I want to go play with Mikey, it's like, do you really want to go? Like, what do they have? You question more. You're more, like, because you know what one organization has over instead of just, okay, that's fine, let's go. And or the mom going, you know what? You can be, or dad, you can be on the elite team over here. Let's just go over there. And Mikey's like, no way, I want to stay at zone. Well, nah, let's just go over there because I think you should be elite. Like, that happens more times than you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
Kids make our second team and the parents don't let them play because they should be on elite. But then what happens is 2 years down the road, the kid's not even playing anymore because every team he went to try out for, he made their second team. And the parents just want them to be on the first team. Like, that's not how life works. Why are we doing that to the kids? Then they go to middle school tryouts. They don't make the team and the kid just quits. Instead of going, wait a second, you love baseball. Try out again next year. Play rec ball. Play, the kids that love it keep trying to figure it out but if they're taught the other way and it's made too easy for them, as soon as adversity hits, they just stop. Because who's going to fix it for them? Nobody. Well, so I think that we have to look at ourselves as an organization and be like, okay, if we lost 3 kids on that team, something happened. Something's not right. Something we could have done better, and maybe not, maybe yes, but that's what I do first instead of just being like, oh, I can't believe he's going there. Those guys must have.
See, and I that's so valuable because, like, I don't know about you, but at least in the last 3 to 5 years, ego has been a trending topic for a lot of coaches. And how do you still coach with your ego, but bring out the right ego and shut down the wrong ego kind of scenario? And I feel like there are still coaches that if they hear of that happening on their team, or a parent is completely transparent with them, like, hey, this person approached me, then that coach, that bad ego comes out like, I can't even believe the nerve and versus looking in the mirror. And I like how you put it, because it wasn't a poor me as well, poor Baxter, what am I doing wrong? That, it's like, what can we do better? That competitive edge. And personally, being a former collegiate athlete, being an athlete mom, being a coach, I want my kids to come play for you now, even though I have one in college. I'm just like, that's the kind of culture that you're creating, and that you have created, and I love that. And
I think going along with the ego, like you're saying, like, don't get me wrong, like, I don't have it all figured out. Like, I'm not perfect at all. When I'm in the heat of the game, there's where I'm like, oh, come on, Duke, like, and you're just like, damn, And then it's like, hey guys, you know what? In the seventh inning, Coach Duke, sorry. I kind of just got all amped up and blah, blah. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with apologizing for, like, I would never curse on the field. I would never like anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes you get more amped up and you're like, that play really doesn't matter. That balk
Right.
there, like, really doesn't matter. I called timeout. I brought the guy. I'm like, listen, that's a balk. Just so you know. And the guy's like, I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. Like, these guys are just doing their best too. You know what I mean? And it's just
That's
like
a whole nother conversation.
it's like no problem. Or the parents are all screaming at you like that was a balk. I'm like, I know it was. Like, I know that. Like, just you know. So I feel like it's that sometimes where the ego in any coach in any if we're competitors, like that's what made us so good, right? We'd be
Right.
easy to be like, we were calm, we didn't care if we won or lost, we
Kumbaya.
didn't care about it. Like, no, we cared about all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we know that the importance of that in today's youth and what we're teaching is that, yeah, we got to grind and we got to be gritty and we got to do all these things, but we're going to do it the right way. It's not a win at all cost, no matter what we're going to do, whatever we have to do to win. No, we're going to win playing hard and doing everything we can and learn from our mistakes. And then the next day, we're going to practice hard and we're going to, because that's going to last them way longer in the long run than a win at all cost kind of guy that's willing to cheat and steal and do whatever it takes to win. And then be like, listen, the weekend's over. It's Monday. Your trophy, it's only fun when you're holding it. Like, Monday's a new week again. So was it really worth what you did and the way you feel now on Monday for that? Probably no.
Nah, I like that. That's good. No, that's a really good analogy. It only felt good when you were holding it. Like that's a first that I've heard because I always like to make fun of the teams. I know this is so wrong to say, but like we'll play against a team and I'm like, oh look, they're weekend warriors. Like that's all they care about. Like I just want you guys to please have dirty uniforms. Like please dive, please slide, please make plays. Like please just have fun out here. So, with that being said, we're going to come to an end on this one. But I do want to kind of give an inside peek as to what you're going to be doing at the ABCA convention this year. And what are the dates on that?
The ABCA convention is the 4th, 5th, and 6th.
And it is in Dallas, Texas this year.
This year's in
Correct?
Dallas, Texas, right? So
Okay.
a sneak peek of what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be going out there and the Fielders Dome mat and Blast Motion are some of the the sponsors and people that I kind of do some stuff with. So I'm really just gonna walk around and meet people that like yourself, like love to just hey like meet up with people and the people that you talk to on social media and the people that you reach out to and you do things with. It's like the perfect place to just meet them in the flesh and to be able to talk to them and be like, man, like there's guys that I've never met before, 6, 7, 8 years. And I got to meet CJ Beatty and we saw each other. We're like running across the
I
place,
love
like
CJ.
hugging each other, like, dude, like he's going like this to my head. He's like touching me, like you're real, and Joel from Prospects dugout. I'm like, we saw each other. We're like, it was just so funny because
Yep.
you're just seeing people and but we're gonna go and try out the new products and see what cool things they have and we're always up for learning. Like I'm always like, what am I gonna learn? Who am I gonna get to talk to? What's next? And I'm really excited because I got asked to speak at the Ohio Softball Coaches Convention out in Ohio. There's gonna be 800 it's actually a softball convention, which is amazing.
Wow.
I have 3 45-minute infield sessions that I'm doing. There's the guy from Tennessee is going to be there. It's good. There's a really cool panel of coaches, and I got asked to go speak, and I'm like so fired up to do that. So that's something that's pretty cool, and I hope to go to the NFCA. I was like trying to debate yes or no, or do I go out for 2 days? There's just so many people in the softball world that I would love to connect with that I talk to like this, and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
we got to get together. Like we have to connect,
Yeah.
But
No, and that's truly what the NFCA, like, I'll never forget DR3, Danielle, Coach D. I literally went to the restroom, was walking in, she was walking out, and I saw her headband, and she's like, and I was like, and she goes, oh, Coach Callie B. And she like ran up to me, gave me a big hug. She's like, you have no idea how much I look up to you. And we stood in the hallway outside the little meeting room for probably an hour talking. And it's just such a great place to connect. Like even Mike Kendrea, he was keynote speaker last year, and we're talking in the little foyer, and he's just like, "You look so familiar." And I was like, "Oh, you probably don't remember me when I was 16 at your camp." But I was like, I live in the same like vicinity of your son. And he's like, "You coach, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's where I've seen you, social media." And I'm like, "Oh, like,
And you know, and I
you
think
just
that's so fun. I feel like that's so like validates what we do, and that's what
100%."
drives us, right? Like we ran a clinic on Saturday, and we had Coach Steinman was here, and the hit doctor was here, and we're like, you know what? And it was Steve. So I'm hearing the guy comes over to me, he goes, man, he goes, I have all your stuff, I have all your coaching courses, I see all your videos, and he's like, you're even better in person. I was like, he goes, you just have so much energy on the video. Then when I came here, he's like, you're even better. And I was like, that was like the best thing I could have heard, because he goes, it's so authentic, but here it's even more like you're just the same. And I'm like, yeah, Coach Josh Cathcart, that's who came in and was doing the hitting with Steve, and I was doing that. So
Mhm.
when we did that, I was just when he said that to me, I'm like, that's gonna fuel me for another 6 weeks. You know,
100%.
you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, all right, good. I'm glad, because
Yeah.
sometimes this is a grind, right? This is challenging for us. We put a cool video out and we get bashed by a million people, and you're just like, whoa, like or we have a 9-year-old and we're just happy that he hit a line drive and his face is like this, and does he have the perfect swing? No, I didn't post it because I didn't say, look at this awesome swing. I said, you know what I mean? Like, look at this cute little 9-year-old like showing excitement playing the game, and then you get
Mhm.
blasted with 200 comments of like, he wasn't using his hips, he was. I'm like, well, thank you for the feedback. I know that we're working on that, but look at his smile.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you know,
it's so funny you're talking about that, because I literally this morning just posted a reel of our oldest. He's in college playing baseball. He was probably around 8 years of age, and he hit a double. And like when you look at his swing, you're like, but I want him to remember who, like his why, like remember that little boy. Because
yeah,
playing college baseball is not easy, especially fall ball. Like that's when they put you out on the hot plate and they're gonna see who's gonna dance, who's gonna make the cut and stuff. And so I just put that together and I thought, oh, he's gonna kill me. First thing he said was, "Love you, mama." I was like, oh, can't wait to see him. We're picking him up from the airport this Friday. So super excited about that. Which I wanted to also tell you, speaking of people saying stuff on posts, the post that you made about, and it's obviously a viral post where people go to the car wash and spray the pants off.
right, right, right,
I commented on there. It's some guy like tried to sell me like in a very like negative, like, "You're lying. There's no way." And I was like, not seriously not lying. Like I've never scrubbed my kids' pants. Like I am a baseball coach's wife. I am a softball coach. I'm the
right,
mother of three ballers. Like I literally soak them in white bright. Like,
right.
and then I shout it like after 8 hours and throw it to the washer.
Perfect.
Just like, so it just made me laugh because even my husband was like, "Are you really getting excited about this?" And I was like laughing because I was like, "People really do this. Like this is just dumb, you know?"
Right,
So,
right.
but so with that being said, I want to close this out with kind of to help our younger generation of instructors, because that's another reason why we go to these conventions, is the younger ones that are coming up and they get so excited to meet us. Like, what does a typical day look like for you as Duke Baxter?
Good one, good one. Well, my kids have to get up at 6:15, so I have to wake up at 5. At 5:05, I get up and I go to the gym first so I can have my energy for the day. So go to the gym from 5:15 to 6 o'clock. I come back, get the coffee ready. For my wife, I bring it down. She then gets up. The three boys wake up, and I make the lunch. I make the breakfast, and go on social media for about 10 minutes to see what's going on. And then I head into zone. I head into zone usually around 9 o'clock, 9:30. And I'm just going through, looking at the day, looking at the coaches, looking to see what's happening, what's going on. And I still do lessons. Like I still do lessons. I coach our 13-year-old team, but I'm walking the facility. I'm checking out the nets. Are the nets good? Do we need anything? It's 28,000 square feet. We have 10 cages. We have a full infield. We have, 5 mounds. So it's just kind of like checking things out, making sure that everybody has what they need. making sure that the classes are ready for the day. And, like I was telling you about before about preparation, it's just preparing for the day and being ready for it. And then 3 o'clock, all the kids get out of school, and then whatever gets thrown at us, and here we go, baby. We're ready to rock and roll. And my days now are much more stuff like this, conversations, talking to different manufacturers, where they used to be 14 to 16 lessons a day, no matter what, 7 days a week grinding. For the first 10 years was like that. And then it was, a little bit less and less and stuff like that. But, I think that a message that I would like to give to the beginners out there and the starters is this. Oh, Duke, you're so lucky that you have a 28,000 square foot place. I wish I had that. No, you don't. Wish that you were exactly where you are with your one batting cage and master that cage. Do your lesson, be happy with it, move on to lesson 2, move on to cage 2, move on to cage 3, move on to moving into your 5,000 square foot place, then your 10,000, because too many people want things so fast, but they're not ready for it. I wouldn't have been ready for what I have now if I was given this when I was 27. I would have screwed it all up, and I would have just not known what to do. Now we have 17 coaches and 45 people that are helping with facility and this and that. I couldn't have handled that in the beginning. So don't wish you had something that you can't handle. You're given what you have, master that and love it, and then advance to the next level and then to the next level. Because I think so many people, just like you could probably vouch for this, is, oh, coach, you're so lucky you have this and that. It's like, they don't know you've been doing this for 30 years. They don't know that you got this knowledge for 30 years of knowledge of how to fix that in 2 seconds. I did something the other day and fix this one person's swing, and it was like that. Try this drill, watch it, boom. They're like, wow, that only took you 10 minutes. Like, here's $10. They're like, I could have charged $1,000 for that. I'm not charging $1,000 for the 10 minutes. I'm charging $1,000 for the 30 years that it took me to do it in 10 minutes.
Amen.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Yes.
we're not the same. That I could go through 75 drills and never figure out what's wrong with you, and you can pay me over this amount of time, or you can pay someone like yourself that's so articulate and knows exactly what they're doing. You can fix something like that. It's the time that so getting people to realize that there isn't a quick fix on things. Like, it takes time. So don't rush things. Don't rush it. Just enjoy the process and learn along the way, and help as many people as you can, because there's going to come times where I just message you, hey, I love your page, and it turned into this. Right? Like, it's just.
Well, and I think another good thing is, don't be afraid to ask for help. I've got some young instructors reaching out to me, and it's to the point where I've had instructors say, wow, you're willing to give me this, like, tell me this for free. I'm like, yeah, well, so-and-so, they charge. And I'm like, well, that's where they're at in their level. Right now, this is where I'm at, and I want to give back. I want to do diligence because people have done diligence with me. So it's that cycle of life, and I feel like if we can keep the quality of coaches in the circle, then it's going to keep this game rolling right along and people wanting to coach more. So
I hope so. I think we have to continue to help the younger coaches.
Oh, 100%.
Everyone wants to invest in the superstar coach or the dad or mom that coaches the 12U or 14U team. But that T-ball mom or dad has 12 kids that are either going to fall in love with the game or never play again. And we need to give to that mom and dad and be like, here's the tools that you need. Here's our free course. Here's a coaching course. Here's my book. Here, just take this, and here's how to run a practice. Here's how to talk to the kids. Here's how to create a lineup card. Here's a way to create fun practice plans. Like, you need this. And now you get all 12 of those kids that want to play again next year, and then next year. And then that's how we're going to grow the sport. Because if we don't invest in that person, those 6-year-olds are never going to get to 7. And the 7s are never going to get to 8. And that's what's happening in the sport. We're down 27% from last year in baseball. 27%. Like,
that's crazy. I did not know that.
It's going to crash. It's going to crash so fast, and it's crashing. But it's that grassroots, instead of making fun of the mom and dad that don't know what they're doing, because they don't. maybe they never played, but they still said, I'll volunteer to coach. Well, we need to help that mom and dad to be able to give a good experience so that kid goes, yes, I love baseball or softball, so that's what I'm working on now.
Well, I did see I love that because that just made me think about the merge that just happened with the NFCA and the MLB. Not merge, but they're partnering.
Right.
Something's going on. I may have used the wrong politically correct term, so don't come after me, people. So, but I saw that last week and I'm excited about that because being a mom of both, and
Right.
I don't know about your daughter, like if she played softball, it is important for, that sport equality thing going on. Not saying like because you're a girl, you have to be just like a dude. Like, no, you're a girl. He's a dude. Like you have your differences, you have your similarities, but for sure, like I'm excited to see where it goes. But I did not know that baseball was down by 27%. I didn't. What exactly is that stat? Just in case somebody's listening and they're gonna try to like figure out what that means.
Well, they said the amount of people from 12 and under actually playing from last year's that actually go up to 13. That number's down. They say 70% of the kids that go from, quit by the age of 14, right? Just for whatever reason, just the game itself just breaks it down. But the number of baseball players is down 27% of youth sports, youth.
Got
players.
it.
So.
Got it.
We got to work on it.
It's a wake-up call, and we just have to come together and bring everybody back in.
Well, thanks so much for having me on the show. I loved it.
I'm glad you were here. Thank you for being a part of it. I'm excited to share this with everyone. Finally did it. I know, you're like, what? I finally put a place on my website for you, the coach, to have a membership to. What the heck am I talking about? Well, I've kicked around the idea several times with a lot of my people in my industry, and it's dubbed coordinated coaching. What exactly is coordinated coaching? Well, for starters, coordinated coaching is a place where coaches can come together and coordinate, right? Ideas, drills, maybe they want to share their experiences in hopes to help the next coach coming up. But what I'm offering you through CaliVSoftball.com is a membership through coordinated coaching. In that membership, you, the coach, are going to get support from me. I know you're like, why? I didn't play at the professional level. Why would anybody want to listen to me? Well, for starters, I have 30 years combined of playing and coaching all together. And I want to take everything I know and I want to offer it to you guys to help you process things, because coaching is not the same thing it was 20 years ago. I've been in the game long enough to know that. And honestly, it's harder and harder every weekend to process the wins, the losses, the X's, the O's, the drama, the talking, all the stuff. So I'm going to show you ways to physically support yourself as best you can as a coach so you can show up as the best version of yourself physically. But I'm also going to show you ways to support yourself emotionally and mentally. Because in truth, if you can't be the best version of you, how are you ever going to get the best version of your athletes out of them? So we've got to start with ourselves. So I invite you to go to CaliVSoftball.com. That's Cali as in Sally, but with a K. V as in Victor, softball.com. And go ahead and sign up under monthly memberships, coordinated coaching. You're going to get monthly support, and you're also going to have me, like if you have any questions about your pitchers, because I do specialize in pitching, I'm going to be right there to help you. So if this is something that interests you, support and also pitching knowledge all in one place for you, the coach, then coach, you need to sign up. I'll see you there. Thanks guys, and God bless.